Oops, just kidding. Yeah, it's about time now to bring StormTALK, off to a good start, back into the mix. But don't worry, nothing too threatening coming our way, just a little bit more of an active pattern into the coming days. Hope you guys are doing well. It is now 52 minutes after the hour. Hello, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. 6 months away, officially, until Christmas Day. Hang tight, guys. It won't be long. All right, the heat continues to be a big story. We're going to talk about that and those increase in showers and storms we're going to be seeing here in the coming days into the weekend, and especially early next week. But there are some silver linings in the pattern as we look down the road. And today, as I promised you guys I would, I am going to go into a little bit longer of a trend on the data for the rest of July and even into the first part of August. Some themes are showing up. I don't know if they'll lock in or not, but they seem to be trying to lock in. So I think it's fair to at least now start to talk about them. As always, you guys can comment on the social media side. A lot of you on here, YouTube, as well as on Facebook as well on there. Thanks for all the birthday wishes, everybody. I appreciate that. Happy 29th. Yeah, I'm 23 today. 23. I'm actually AI. No, I shouldn't joke about that. Shouldn't joke about that because it's probably going to happen to me. But I was going to say it's the AI version of me. All right. I hope you guys are well, seriously, and trying to stay cool. Again, thanks for all the birthday wishes. Appreciate that. All right. The heat, as you get older, though, I'm telling you, it just affects. It just hits different. Just hits different. So I know you guys feel my pain on that. I'm a little more grouchier than I used to be. But maybe that's normal. I don't know. All right, let's get into the heat first, and then we'll break down from there on the storm chances. All right, we made it to 97 degrees yesterday. It was a steam bath outside. That was the hottest day of the year so far. Again, nothing record-breaking on that. The records have been running, close. The record on Monday was 98. We got to 96. We're close. Yesterday, the record was 100. We were 97. So just not quite that level on intensity, but I think that's worse, personally, is when you don't get to record levels, but you still have to get close every single day. That's what makes it miserable. If you're going to go through all this, at least make it to where it gets in the books, to where it's something you can talk to your kids about one day or something. I don't know. But when you get to the point where it's just right there at it every day, it does take a toll on you after a while. And that's the main reason for the heat advisory, not so much, even though we hit the criteria easily yesterday of the 105, 106 degree heat index in the area. It's very, 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 very much a hot setup yesterday. It's the prolonged and the repeated nature of it and the lack of cooling, as I've mentioned several times at night. In fact, we may have a record today for the low temperature this morning. We've only dropped to 80. The record is 79. So if we don't get a thunderstorm that knocks us down this afternoon, that record should easily stay intact for the rest of the day. So at least it's a record of some sort. May get in the books today for this particular heat wave. Now, here's what I'm going to stress. I'm going to show you several different maps talking about the showers and thunderstorms and the trends. There will be some days where you're going to see an obvious knocking down of the heat, but I have to really stress here, there is not going to be a significant change to our atmosphere until a front moves in and changes the wind direction and changes the moisture values in the other direction, takes them out. That will not happen until Monday night. So is there a chance we could still hit 95 or 96 over the weekend? Yes, that is still on the table. You will not see that in the 10-day. We're going to go with a downward trend. We're expecting more activity of showers and storms. But if all those showers and storms were to miss us, or more importantly, to miss you, then you could still climb up to that level. So again, nothing's really going to change until the front moves in. So I just want to make sure the impression's not there that it's going to get cooler each day, or at least less hot each day. That will not be the case. It just will be more active on the radar at times there. So it's just not as widespread on these numbers. Everyone's in the same boat right now with the heat, but as we get into the weekend, it's going to be very blotchy. You're going to have some areas get knocked down in the 70s with rain. Some that get missed will stay about 95, maybe 96, so that heat index over 100. and then some may get the mix of the in-between ideas, the Goldilocks zone of the two. But it's just going to be one of those things. You got to change the air match, got to get a front in, or really things are not going to change dramatically. So the heat will continue for today. As we're expecting highs again to be very close to that 96, 97 degree mark. We're off to a very hot start now. The wind, you can tell, not moving at all. Boy, it makes a difference. When that breeze kicks in the afternoon, it makes it at least tolerable to be outside. But when you don't have that wind, that breeze, even the cumulus clouds help to give you some shade every once in a while. These are actual numbers. These will be updated. Actually, let me just hang tight here because they're about to be updated in 30 seconds. But at the 9 o'clock hour, there were 87 in Louisville, 87 Bardstown, 82 in Campbellsville, 86 into Shelbyville. Let's give it a moment to catch up, and we'll get the 10 o'clock observations will show up. We'll see what it changes to, if at all, but I'm sure it will. Shelbyville adjusted slightly there to 86. Fort Knox, 87 still, 86 into Salem. We've been running a heat index barely below 90 throughout the entire night. All right, there's the new number, just hit. So now at 90. So now this is day number 7 of 90s this year. And I believe this is 5. I think it's 5 in a row. Yeah, 5 in a row that we've hit of 90 degrees. And we'll likely do this again tomorrow. So now let's look at the heat index. Now that the numbers are in. Heat index in Louisville right now is 97. Bardstown, 101. And about 94 into E-Town. Yeah, off to a lovely start, right? But hey, we're become professionals of this now. Some of you did get some thunderstorms and quite the lightning show last night. Saw a lot of social media posts on that. But it was all really because we have a southwest wind, very gentle southwest wind, but we have something that moves at least slightly. So anytime storms develop from the heat island effect in Louisville, they're going to drift because the wind's southwest. They drift northeast, but very slowly. So the odds of getting a thunderstorm really on the southwest side of Louisville are very difficult because you're ahead of the heat island effect. You're not on the other side of it like northeast Jefferson County, Oldham County, all the way into Carroll, and even into Madison, Indiana. You guys are downwind from the heat island, so you will take in a little bit more of the thunderstorm chance. Today it's a little different. Today the flow is it's southwest, but it kind of snakes along and becomes a little more west at times, especially across Indiana. So therefore, today it looks like it's going to be that zone very close to, I don't think it'll be I-64, maybe just north of it, that there is a boundary. You could get some showers and storms, but still, because of that west wind, eastern Jefferson County and Shelby maybe a little more prime, again, to get something downwind from the heat island today. It'd be very close, though. The Snyder Freeway has been a good buffer zone to watch for those to pop from the heat island. But it's like our own little microclimate. I mean, this happens in a lot of major cities where you have the heat that builds up like this. But when it does happen, I mean, you see the result of it. If we didn't have the concrete jungle here, you wouldn't get those downpours in the afternoon like that. Okay, anyway, enough on that. Let's move on to the current setup where it is quiet. No problems right now. It usually takes to about 12:30, 1 o'clock, somewhere in that range, and the cumulus clouds just kind of go wild in developing. Now, what's happening while that wind direction is shifting a bit, by the way, in Indiana, is the ridge itself was almost, the high pressure dome was almost a perfect circle, almost. The ring of fire, we call that. But today it's a little more rounded on the bottom side, but you get into the plains and certainly in the Midwest, it's getting flattened right through here. So it's looking like, I don't know, like something ate the top part of it out or something here. It's chomping away at it. So because of that, we're getting a little bit more of a westerly direction, and eventually over the weekend, more of this will be chomped away, especially in this area. The northern part, Kentucky, parts of Tennessee into Missouri. And what will happen then is that the northwest wind will become a common flow for showers and thunderstorms to roll in. And some of those then can be strong because they'll be diving down and get into some of the higher heat that we have waiting for it, especially as we get into parts of Saturday and Sunday. So more on that in a second. Your severe risk today is going to be limited to really where you got the flow, the tropical flow going up against the mountains, the Appalachians. You get a lot of orographic lift in that area. Otherwise, you can't, it's not strong enough to get over the mountains, so the wind flow is not enough to really generate storms on the other side. And then the ring of fire storms continue there into the Midwest. Tomorrow, That was tomorrow, excuse me. Similar story. Friday, though, Friday does have a marginal risk that gets all the way up to Adair and points east. And the reason for that is that now that we have a front, you see the slight risk of this showing up in the plains. Now we got something a little bit stronger coming in that northwest flow. This is causing a reaction of the wind field here in the southeast, which has been very sluggish, slow moving. They are dealing with the heat just as much as we are, but even higher humidity than we have. It will start to move, and you take all that humid air, and now you start to add some motion to it. You kind of shove it along. It's reacting to the front in North Dakota, so it's getting pulled northbound. That bit of motion is just enough to start looking at the potential for some damaging winds that will surge up, mainly the spine here of the Appalachians, but it could impact part of Kentucky. This would be mainly Friday that we're looking at. I'll show you the Futurecast idea on that. It shows it well, actually, in just a second. But today, it's still about the heat. The entire Commonwealth under the heat advisory today, and a good chunk of Indiana as well. This has been extended until tomorrow. Will it go into Friday? Probably not, because as I mentioned, it's going to be a much more of a difficult thing to pinpoint and draw on a map once we get into Friday and the weekend, because there will be much more action on the radar. So you could do the whole area in a heat advisory, but the risk that somebody's going to get hit by a storm and get knocked down in the 70s is growing. It's going to be much higher. So it's a little more of a challenge. So they may have to wait until we get until Friday to see where the storms will likely form and where they'll likely travel. And then at that point, there may be a wind or a heat advisory drawn up for the counties most likely. So it will likely switch to a day-by-day decision versus right now it's pretty solidly, most of the area today, most of the area tomorrow, but then Friday gets a little more of a challenge to issue those. Okay, let me show you the first high res. This is going to be the HER model for the next 36 hours that I want to focus on. Does a good job with the heat building in, 96, 97 this afternoon. Watch that boundary in southern Indiana. That's where we'll start to see some of these showers and storms that will try to form. Some of that is from the boundary from last night that has drifted just a bit more into Indiana, and especially up the 71 corridor. If you're heading up to Keenes Island at all, a heads up there, because that boundary does stretch all the way to Mason, Ohio, so there could be more of a risk for a thunderstorm there. For the rest of the area, though, staying hot. But if you get a thunderstorm this afternoon, while we're not talking about severe weather per se, they can have very intense lightning. I'm sure you guys have already heard already of the 18 people, 12 adults and 6 children that were struck by one single lightning bolt in South Carolina yesterday. It just shows the danger. I mean, it barely was a blip on the radar, and the lightning bolt struck and hit 12 people. So if you hear the thunder, it can reach you. 10 miles is about the max distance a bolt can reach out of a thunderstorm. So it can be sunny over your head, but the dark cloud in the distance, the bolt can still reach out that far. So if you see the lightning or you hear the thunder especially, it's within striking distance. So just pay extra attention to these little signs, even though it's hot out and you may not think, oh, well, there's no severe thunderstorm watch out. There's no warnings out. It must be fine. There's still a danger, right? It's just the typical dangers of a thunderstorm. So please pay attention to those signs out there. And I think we'll have some lightning with these that do develop later today. But just like the past 2 days, they form, they rain themselves out. They may generate enough cool pocket of air to make another one pop up next to it. Could be a delay of an hour or two, but still that boundary's there. So it could still try to refire in random times. They just don't have a tailpipe still. So they are not able to last longer than, say, 20 minutes is about the max I've seen on these. In many cases, 5 minutes, and they just begin to weaken. So they don't last very long, but boy, you can see things change fast when they hit. And areas that do getting rain, by the way, will have fog early tomorrow. But tomorrow, a near repeat. Showers and storms, back to 97 for a high. And again, that boundary is going to be relatively stuck. Southern Indiana, I don't see much action right now for central and southern Kentucky. I mean, obviously, I can't rule it out. I mean, all you got to do is sneeze out there, and maybe enough wind motion to create a thunderstorm. So don't sneeze. But Indiana, I think, will have the higher potential there. Okay, so then we get into Friday, and this is where things get a little bit different. And I'm going to switch over to the iRes Euro for this. And the grid on it, it's not as detailed as what you see on high-res models. We can really see the individual downpours and thunderstorms. It's pretty obvious when you go into the yellows and reds and oranges, right? The Euro high-res is not as defined of a grid that way, so it's a little more blotchy, but it'll help with the storyline. So let me switch over to it. Here we are, Friday. Friday is going to be interesting because there are signs that even in Louisville, this model doesn't show up, but I've seen it on other pieces of data, that Louisville may actually has a risk to get a thunderstorm a little earlier than we have seen all week. And I'm talking about 1 to 2 p.m. There could be a thunderstorm that may pop near the heat island effect. We'll see. But I just want to mention as a side note. Otherwise, our attention is going to be what's happening in eastern Kentucky. Remember that day 3 marginal risk that I referred to? Well, there is that moisture surge. Again, the moisture is getting pulled. It's reacting to what's happening in North Dakota, so it begins to move. The Euro here does a very good job on signaling that. I think we'll be fine at 1 o'clock, and then you'll see the showers and storms just erupt and drift. This may have a bit of an arc to it, actually. Some strong winds pushing up 75. Now, it could stay completely east of us and be an I-75 issue for Lexington, EKU. Not so much into wave country, but we're close enough. We're close enough that with an arc of wind like that, it could generate storms on the western side of it as it moves towards Cincinnati Friday afternoon and evening. So just be weather aware of that potential. That actually could contain some warnings with that if it can get that organized, is what the Euro suggests. Possible. It has 3:30 p.m. listed here. Again, the grid is not as defined, so you got to have a buffer of almost 2 hours when you look at this data this far out. So roughly, if it's 3:30, it could be as late as 5:30. But in general, Friday afternoon, evening, watching east of 65 carefully for a surge of storms that will slide up the eastern part of the Commonwealth. All right, those will fade out. We'll get into a quiet, very humid setup again Saturday, we'd switch around the other direction. Now we pay attention to what's going on in North Dakota, because now that northwest flow starts to kick in, and storms will begin to drop in from Chicago, Terre Haute, St. Louis area, and they'll be diving southeast across Indiana and central Kentucky. Timing is still going to get worked out on this, but in general, the afternoon still is fair. This looks like it's going to be a washout Saturday afternoon. The model just is only picking out likelihood here. It's probably overdone on the coverage, but if you're in the darker green and the yellow, that is where the odds are a bit higher, and that would include a good chunk of Indiana and central Kentucky for Saturday afternoon, and these could be severe with damaging winds, very heavy rain, a lot of lightning. They move on by. We don't get much of a break. Another round moves in. This one seems to be a little more nocturnal, perhaps into early on Sunday. It's 5 p.m., but I'm thinking it's going to be a little earlier than that. But it'll be diving in across central, maybe west Kentucky. It may have a little bit more of a western jog to it, but could easily knock the heat down in a big way. And then Monday will actually be the front that I've talked about that we have to get to see any type of change in our weather. Should arrive on Monday, especially Monday afternoon, evening showers and storms. Some of these could easily be on the strong to severe side. If there's any day that likely will be flagged as an alert day, Monday afternoon, evening is standing out as the most likely right now. And then you get some leftover storms with the actual front, and this will be late Monday night into early Tuesday. Right now, don't think this is going to be a huge worry for the overnight hours Monday night, but we do have rain chances in through early Tuesday to account for maybe a slower idea or a second round. Then we can relax a bit. Now, the heat doesn't go away all the way here, guys. We do just get out of the mid-90s, and instead we're looking at near 90. Humidity, heat index, instead of 105, 106, heat index 97. All right, it's not, hello October, but it's hard to get that way in this time of year for sure in July, right? But at least it'll be an improvement, and I think everyone's going to be okay with that. Still got plenty of summer heat for everyone to enjoy, to be outside, but not to the point where it just takes a toll on your body so much. And this would arrive, I would say, next Wednesday, about a week from today. We will feel that air roll into the area. We will have a chance to hold on to it for only 48 hours. That's it. And then we'll build the humidity back up and the heat. So here's what it looks like on a wider scope. Again, here's the Euro. There's your heat dome getting smushed. It's more the Bermuda high now. It gets pinched away to the east there. But there is still signs of it. You can barely see it, but it is there over the country. But again, it's more like a smiley face as we get those thunderstorms diving in from the north and west. As I showed you on Saturday, there's Sunday. And then here we go with the round of storms as we head into Monday night into very early Tuesday. Then we have the front that'll move in. Here we are with Wednesday and Thursday again. Still hot, not as humid, not less. I really don't want to say less humid because it implies it feels great. I would just say not as humid. That's the best way to word it. It's still going to sweat, but at least we have a brief little break that pushes down toward I-40. Once that moves in, 48 hours stay-in time, we reverse. I do think the way it's timing out, we'll be able to get the 4th of July itself in with a crossover of heating back up into the 90s. The humidity builds up, but we don't have a lot of worry on thunderstorms being widespread for the 4th as it looks now. It's still early. But right after that, I'm talking the 5th of July, not as popular as the 4th, but the 5th of July into the 6th, that's when I do think we'll get some showers and storms that will roll in.
Breaking news, everybody. It's Brian's birthday.
Thank you, my heart. I already know. Thank you, that was very sweet. She watched the chat. I know she did. She saw the chat. She scared me. I thought there was really breaking news. I'm like, do I need to go? She's so funny. If I ever had a kid sister that picked on me all the time, I'm telling you, she's the one. Okay, anyway, she's trying to embarrass me. And little does she know that I already had my makeup on for the show, so y'all can't tell if I'm blushing. Okay, so you got the showers and storms on the 5th and 6th. Now these, I do think, are storms we'll have to watch that could contain not so much a severe signal out of them as they move in. I mean, that's possible, but I am worried that this is going to be a very heavy rain setup between the 5th and 6th of July. So for the second half of the holiday weekend, if you have camping plans, travel plans, especially anywhere really in the Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley, this region, the signal is fairly strong on some type of wave that has a nice little kick to it moving in during that time that may cause some travel issues by airlines or by roads there. So we'll give that more time in the oven, but it has been showing up for a week and a half now. I've been tracking this feature. So it's now within our 10-day, and so at least want to make sure to talk about it a little more with you all, okay? So that's will work out great. We can at least get the 4th of July in before we have to worry about that, as long as that timing holds. And so far, that has been the consistent signal as well, as the 4th of July has been able to make it in. All right, so what happens after this? So now this looks like a lot of colors. It's overwhelming. Let me switch over. This is a look, and I'm sorry that it's squished like this, but I tried to really just put it on one frame. This is a look at the two different models here. There's one here on the left, and there's a model here that is on the right-hand side. You're looking at rainfall potential for the rest of July into early August. And a signal that keeps showing up, and I pull the most recent stuff, and it's still locking in. First off, I mentioned that July, I do think, is not going to feature as long of a stretch of heat waves that we've seen as of now, and we're in at the moment. I don't see anything to that length. I still think we're going to have days we're going to get into the 90s, like the 4th of July is. Same idea, but the heat looks to be constantly interrupted in July. We may get into the 90s for a day or two, and then another front moves in. Back in the 90s for a day or two, and then another front moves in. That signal is strong for the entire month, especially the second half, really, of July. So because of that, the rainfall outlook certainly shows an increase. I hope you guys can see my pen. I'm drawing on the left one. You can certainly see the increase in rainfall, and this is mainly from the northwest flow of low pressures and fronts that move in the Ohio Valley. That will keep our temperatures near normal, actually. May even be slightly below normal. Wouldn't surprise me. So we're going to get into an active pattern. I don't see days and days of heat like we just went through being the headline in July, as it looks now. This is the long-range Euro on the right. Fairly similar idea, a little more blotchy, but it's got more high res to it. But what is also interesting is look at what stands out around Florida, especially the Panhandle area of Florida, all the way into the Carolinas. Strong signal there for quite a bit of rainfall, and very strong signal on the Euro. I mean, this is over 30 inches for the Panhandle, Florida, into the Carolinas. Well, for those meteorology lovers out there, I'm sure you know what this probably means, is that this is going to be some type of constant tropical signal that's going to be moving in from Florida, and we'll have, because we have so many fronts dropping into the Midwest, these systems are going to turn rapidly. Remember, Helene did that. Came ashore and then had that turn, unfortunately, and caused all the devastation into the Smokies or into the Appalachians there in North Carolina. I think the similar setup is at risk for anything that develops in the tropics. I don't see a signal right now that would go into Kentucky or even right into Kansas or Oklahoma. The signal is fairly strong here that it's going to be a turning type of system. To see that on two long-range models that keep repeating themselves over and over, I don't think it's anything that can be really ignored. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a hurricane coming in Florida on July 25th. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you the pattern, the signal for at least very heavy rain in the southeast is there, and it's kind of hard not to decipher that that's what it's trying to interpret. It could easily be just a tropical depression or a tropical storm that is slow and produces heavy rain, all right? So we don't know what it'll be, but there's no doubt the southeast corner of the country is an area to watch. If you have vacation plans in July into early August for the Caribbean and around Florida, you will want to pay attention to the weather trends as we head down the road. All right, there's my heads up for you all. Let's get right into the 10-day. And now I'm going to get out of your hair here. Kind of recapping the heats. Again, 97 today, 96 to maybe 97 tomorrow, depending on how we go with the clouds. And then as we get into the weekend, storm chances again coming in waves, not an all-day washout, but at waves, it will be active day and night. I'm going to include both on that. Monday night, though, certainly has much more of a problem as we get into Monday, hopefully out of here by the time we get into Tuesday. And then there's that, look at that chill down, 88. Put the parka on with lows at night, at least getting back in the 60s. We'll take that. And the 4th of July, we'll go with 92. All right, everyone good? GK, do we live in Kentucky or Seattle right now? Well, at least in Seattle, it's a light rain much of the time, or a drizzle. This will be clusters of heavy rain and showers and storms, and yeah, we just don't want all that. We don't want all that. Hey, Jordan, I hope the little one's doing well. Appreciate the updates. Yeah, on paternity leave. Jordan just had another baby, a girl, so congrats to Jordan. Everyone say congrats, Jordan. Does it rain on the 4th of July? You're in trouble. So yeah, I'm not either. It's right to that point, isn't it? Right to that date cutoff point. At least some of the farmers have been able to get out there and get the hay cut and get out in the field. That's been a challenge this spring. So at least now they're able to. But now we got to worry about mold and heavy rain events coming our way. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there for now. Thanks for joining me on my birthday. It was very nice of you all. I am not going to be back until next week. So I want you guys to stay close to the weather changes the next few days, especially the storms over the weekend. And when I see you all, we'll be tracking these Monday storms together. So I'll have more on that coming on Monday. Obviously, the guys will have you covered. Tawana's got you covered in the morning. And then Carson will have you certainly covered over the weekend itself as those showers and storms evolve. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay cool out there. I'll see you coming up on midday at 11 a.m.